Is your Mercedes auxiliary fan making some weird noises like... Might be time to service the bearings in it. Sure, you could go and buy a replacement aftermarket fan, but chances are it wouldn't last as long as a properly maintained OEM fan. So we're going to pop this thing apart and have a look at what we need to do to service this fan. So the first thing we need to do is, on this nut right here on the front, it is got a little tab there that is holding this locked tight. So we'll take a punch and separate that, flatten that down. Then we can get a, let's see, where did I put that? 20 millimeter. Grab a 20 millimeter socket, which will fit on there perfectly. Then your impact and an air hose. Now, very important, this is reverse thread, so it is lefty loosey, righty tighty. Wait! What that long-haired dude just said is wrong. He said it backwards. Because that bolt is reverse thread, it's lefty tighty, righty loosey. So you'll want to turn it clockwise. Which, of course, I'm doing clockwise with my hand, but because you're watching it on the other side of the screen, I don't know how that'll all work out. It's reverse thread. Turn it the opposite way to what you normally would turn it. Otherwise, all your hair might get cut off. So, put this like you would normally be tightening in order to remove it. And there you have it. That will let us remove the fan blades after we pop our cover off of here. There. And let's give a little pry over here. Just work our way around, prying this off. And there we have it. Now watch, because there's a spacer right there, and then we can actually see the bearing right there. So, set that spacer, the nut, and the lock nut off to the side. And we are going to cut this zip tie and take out these 3 8mm bolts on the back side. There we go. Look at that. So right there is our motor. Let's see if we take these nuts off of here, if we can tear it apart. So, each of these little guys comes out. There we go. And there is our bearing in there. And it's a little crunchy. See, there's a little rivet, there's a little rivet, there's a little rivet, and there's a little rivet. So I'm going to take a punch and center punch those so that I can drill those out with a drill. So, after drilling that out, that plate easily picks off. And then you see the real problem here. When Bosch designed this fan, they decided to use an open cage bearing. Let's push this little guy out of here. That is in the realm of 30 years or more buildup of crud and junk, and thing barely rolls anymore. And the sound, the So that bearing is toast. So what do? Buy a 10-pack of new bearings. And the link to these bearings is down in the description, of course. I went and got a sealed bearing. So this bearing, compared to the old one, the new one has seals on both sides with grease inside so that it turns nice and easy. So that's not all we need to do though. We're also going to pull the armature up out of here and take a look at the bushing on the other side. Don't grab the threads, grab the shaft. Pop that up out. You can see the commutator down in there. This all looks healthy and happy and as good as it should be. Looks like brushes still have plenty of life left. So nothing to be concerned about here. We're going to take and clean this shaft off real good and put some oil on there. Just going to put a drop of some Rotella down in there. We can set this back down in. Our bearing, we can just gently press that down in with our fingers till it seats right where it needs to be. And then we can set it all right back together. Now these are the thinner nuts. You know, there are thicker ones and thinner ones. The thinner ones go on here. So let's slide these in. Let's start these on. Let's bring back our housing here. Let's see, which way do we want the wires to run? I think right like that, because then they can run up and out through there. That should work perfect. Now let's get our other nuts and put these on here. So we're going to leave this out so that it doesn't jingle, because the spacer sets right on the face of that bearing, and that'll hold everything together just fine. So let's put our fan blades back on. A little locking washer there. And then our reverse threaded nut. The after. Look at that. The fan actually freewheels. Takes almost no effort to spin, which isn't a huge shocker considering how difficult this thing was to spin. So yeah, well, good stuff. Go ahead and zip tie your wires back on, put your fan back on, and you'll be good for another 20 or 30 years. Thanks for watching.